case is pretty much the worst, like, speech on the whole drug issue or video response involving dialogue, period, and just ramble a lot. But anyway, I'm just saying, I admit this sucks, and I probably got a lot of stuff wrong too. So, just saying, sorry it sucks, but I think, shit. God damn it. Okay, the part about how you should get pure DXM instead of over-the-counter quercetin or whatever. I saw a thing on like 2020 or some shit. I think it's the only like official mainstream story I've seen done on it, and like the main part of it was about this kid who like started out doing quercetin and like started getting pure DXM from Canada or wherever you have to get it from, and like he died from it. And I think you're more than correct about the whole anything you overdose on can kill you. I think it's pure DXM might be even worse, really. So who knows? I'm not a pharmacist or anything, but I'm pretty sure something similar to fucking PCP and acid is gonna be more dangerous than an antihistamine. So okay, the whole argument about like how the government shouldn't tell you what to put in your own body and how it's imposing someone else's morals on you and everything. I don't think there are any laws against smoking marijuana. It's all possession. So as far as like implementation goes, really all it's saying is like you can't distribute it, you can't make money off of it, or you can't own it obviously, but basically just if you get caught with it, you have to be pretty stupid. They're pretty careful about the wording of it. There's no law against getting high. They can't find THC in your bloodstream. There's nothing about that. It's illegal. So as far as like drug laws go, you can still get drugs pretty easily, pretty much anything you want. But the thing is, they're not like, it goes back to what I was saying about how you can't be sitting in front of the TV at night and then like see an ad for like the new and improved heroin and like go walk down to the nearest gas station or liquor store and just like pick up some fucking like new and improved heroin. Yeah, I don't know how you can possibly argue that we should have like a Starbucks of heroin or like a fucking like McDonald's where they sell like crystal meth or some shit or whatever, because like I guess it wouldn't necessarily be the collapse of like society as we know it, but there obviously would just be a huge rash of addiction and probably deaths and like who knows what else. And like the idea that I don't know, that corporations are just gonna like somehow the laws of supply and demand is gonna make drugs somehow more safe or less addictive or anything. Like look at big tobacco in the United States. Like for years and years they were trying to suppress like the information. They're trying to convince people that cigarettes aren't addictive. They had those ads saying they were healthy and shit, and a lot of people bought it. So the tobacco companies are like waging this propaganda war and everything, and like how was that problem fixed? I mean, did some other tobacco company come out like with their main competitor and say like, look, these guys' cigarettes they cause cancer and like they're really addictive and everything? Like, did somebody else come out with this big study and compete to make cigarettes safer? And would it have worked in the first place? Like, that doesn't happen. The reason people were enlightened by all this stuff is the government came in with a study. And when you're talking about supply and demand as it pertains to like an addictive substance or anything like that, the demand doesn't come from like demand for safer drugs or anything, or like better quality nicotine. The only demand comes from like the fact that people are addicted in the first place. That's pretty much how it goes with any addictive drug. I mean, with cigarettes, they're not a really great buzz. It's just the fact that they started out because the buzz was nice, and then after the first few times, they're just trying to get back to that same point before they ever started smoking in the first place, where their emotions can function because they need that like nicotine receptor in their brain or however the fuck it works. I forgot how to explain it, but you get my drift. Even in like a market where health, safety, and everything, or it's not just a matter of addiction, like cars, for instance, like where supply and demand are based on safety and everything. It's like the government plays a big part in like crash testings, like car safety standard ratings or whatever. And I don't know if like we didn't have that, if we would just have a system where I'm not saying we would, but I don't know if how it would work without that. But I think there's a pretty good chance that all the car companies would just be in this mad effort to try to hide their own flaws and maybe like show everybody else's, but I don't think it would be anywhere near as efficient as just like the government doing it independently, and then there's not this question of like, are they doing it just for their own gain? Like, I don't know, what we have with news right now, where you could just point at the other person and say like, well, they're biased because so and so, and especially can't apply that supply and demand is gonna fix everything thing to drugs though. That's so not in their interest to make drugs safer. Uh, the war on drugs thing, it shouldn't be a war on drugs. We shouldn't have like the whole mandatory punishment thing, or it should be about rehabilitation, obviously. But like the reason we have drug laws isn't about enforcing morals on other people or like imposing Christian morality and abstinence from drugs or anything like that. It's about just the kind of like social contract thing. We don't want to like have the majority of modern Americans don't want to live in a society where you walk down the street and you see some bum passed out with a needle in his arm under a sign, big billboard, like saying like come try our new crack or whatever. It would be really stupid, and there's probably a way to make it work, but the free market isn't gonna be it, and I just don't see any way you could possibly make something like heroin work if you're gonna sell it at like just anywhere and have no regulations on it at all. What I was saying about like I think marijuana should be illegal and probably cigarettes or make them illegal. Like I think marijuana's the only reason they're not both illegal or both legal is marijuana is a weed, and it's easy to grow. You can't make money off of it, so but you can with cigarettes, even though like marijuana's probably got a lot more like value. But cigarette buzzes suck. Marijuana actually makes you artistic, kind of, and not necessarily productive, but it's a whole hell of a lot healthier a buzz than alcohol or something like that. And I just don't think anybody would miss cigarettes. Oh yeah, one more point. Like okay, you want to tell people to have like I'm pretty sure you're saying that as far as the whole addiction thing goes, you want to tell people to have personal responsibility and all this stuff. Well, we pretty much acknowledged you can't tell somebody who's addicted to just have personal responsibility. That's why we have rehabs, where you lock people up in a place where they're just away from drugs. They pay somebody to basically imprison them in a place where there's no access to it, and they take away personal responsibility from them, and just like that's the whole point of it. That's how you've got to treat things like addiction, and especially if it's some bum on the street who's like fucking addicted to crack and can't afford to take himself to a rehab. Like you just can't. That's just not a line of thought you can apply to something like this. And I mean, so I say, why not just keep these super addictive drugs like out in the first place, and that way we don't need like rehab. Just like why pay somebody to keep you in this big solitary confinement? Well, not solitary, why pay to go to rehab where you can just the majority of Americans would rather not be around drugs anyway, and that way it's harder to get them. Uh, you don't have the temptation if you're trying to quit or anything like that, because you don't like see a big billboard in front of McDonald's that's like advertising heroin. It's just yeah, I think I got my point out. Oh, that sucks really bad.